Has this ever happened to you?
Oh crap, my weapon needs to be repaired. Oh crap.
Well, how about this all too common scenario?
Oh crap, I'm out of metal parts. Oh crap. Welp, this is my last metal part.
Or heaven forbid this happened to you.
Oh crap, my weapon's broken. Oh crap. Oh goodness, this isn't good. It looks like I can't do anything now. Crap. There's got to be a better way.
Well, you're in luck, Alfie, because there is a better way.
Oh my god, there is a better way.
Now introducing your bare hands. It's one of the most time-consuming but cost-effective ways to kill folks, and it'll leave you screaming, yeehaw!
Oh my god, that sounds awesome.
Wait. Hey, partner, what do you think you're doing?
This is the time to kill?
It sure is the time to kill, but you can't put a price on those metal parts.
Can we play that
saving.
in real time, please?
Hey, you can't do that, partner. This is my commercial.
No. Why would I use this? What are you doing? Why are you even advertising this? This is terrible. Hey, dude, knock it off. It looks really cool.
No, shut up, Alfie. You're not a part of this.
You know what? No, I'm done. This is mental, and you belong in a mental institute.
Hey,
it's
partner,
been
that's not
like
very nice.
45 seconds, and the guy still isn't. It's 5 entire stamina meters. The guy is still not dead. This is ridiculous. This should not be played. Anyone that plays Dying Light with their bare hands is just insane. Here's the twist. That's exactly what I did.
Welcome to Dying Light Fists Only Prepare to Die Edition. Now, if you don't already have a good idea of what this is about, I don't really think I can help you because I've spelled it out, I think, as best as I can. Pretty much what I'm doing is a fists only, no weapons playthrough of the entirety of the Dying Light story. Except there's one catch. I'm playing it through on the hardest difficulty because I hate myself, and also because the other 2 difficulties are so easy that you may as well just not even play them, in my opinion. Pretty much all this means is that I'm fucked, there's no saving me, and God please help me. Unfortunately though, I must admit, I'm not the first person to come up with this, and I'm not the first person to do it either. At least the fists only portion. I wasn't able to find anyone else starting and completing the game on Nightmare with their fists only, so that's what I'm here to do. But I don't see much point in dilly-dallying like this for much longer, so fuck it, here it is. I present to you Dying Light Fists Only Prepare to Die Edition. Welcome to the official start of this playthrough. This is it. I'm currently making the save file. Now obviously now we must bear through the story.
HUD activated. Commence briefing.
And now we are done with the story. Okay. It might blow your mind to hear this, but I thought this was going to be easy at first. Yeah, that's right. I thought it was going to be easy to play through Dying Light with no weapons. However, this is coming off of a handful of Nightmare playthroughs where, in an effort to save durability on like my really good, upgraded, and expensive weapons, I would use a lot of curb stomps and a lot of takedowns and all of those insta-kill skills that you can get. I would just use the shit out of those, okay? Because I wanted to save hits. So, since those are technically unarmed skills,
Once I got those, I figured I'd be in the clear anyway. But the problem is, I don't have any of those skills, and I am really, really far off from getting them. Farming power points with your bare hands is so unbelievably tedious and slow. You get 1 point for a punch or a kick during the day, and an extra spicy 2 points at night. So basically what I'm saying is almost none of my power points are coming from punching and kicking. They're all coming from killing zombies, and almost all of those kills are environmental. Since I realized so early on that grinding was going to be essential to get my abilities that I need in this playthrough, that was the first thing I did. If you're taking notes, step number 1, get on that grind. As soon as I was out the door of the tower, I was grinding and I was killing as many zombies as I could. By the time I showed up to Dr. Zare's trailer, which is the first thing you're supposed to do after you leave the tower, I was already almost agility level 3 and I was power level 3. Now, to be fair, these levels don't really unlock anything substantial. I mean, I only got to agility level 3, but they unlock some quality of life improvements, I would call them, like slide and grapple, that make getting environmental kills that much easier. Once I finished talking to Dr. Zara, I went and saw my main man Spike, and he hooked me up with my first real assignment. Go hook up the car traps for Brecken's night run. Now, I just wanted to get all this prologue stuff out of the way so that I could start getting a day-night cycle in here, because all this farming is kind of fruitless during the day when I could just be doing the exact same thing and getting double the points at night. So I went and armed the traps, I went and got the airdrops, I escaped the volatiles. It was all very exciting, I promise. You'll just have to take my word on it, because I'm not going to show the footage in the interest of time, of course. And if you're curious, no, I did not kill the goon, and that was mostly because I didn't have the abilities to take care of him at the time, and I didn't want to die pointlessly when my punches were not going to do any noticeable difference to his health. So I just ran around him like a little goon. When I finally got back to the tower that night, it felt like the game had officially started. Even though a lot of the slums are explorable before this, it doesn't really feel alive until now. My crane is no longer Jaden Spike's errand boy. He's his own man. And to me, that means that he's playing most of the game in the dark, not scared of anything. After that, I went to go take care of Bento, aka... I knew this was going to be a pain in the ass before it even started, but it was a lot worse than I was expecting, honestly. I've already used a clip of it twice in this video. Killing just one guy was a chore, and there were 4 of them. Luckily though, there were 2 things that actually made this fight a lot easier than it could have been. And those would be this pool of oil right here, and Bento's incredibly low IQ. Every time Bento saw a zombie outside the fence, he would go over and try to kill it. This distracted him for actual minutes at a time, even though none of his hits actually went through the fence, they just bounced off. I left him to that for just about the whole fight, while I killed all of his friends. But then when it came down to just me and him, he had just disappeared. Somehow, he had ended up on the other side of the fence, running a market stall. Bento, what are you doing? Either way, it didn't go very well for him. What's wrong, Bento? You've been smoking too much fake andesite? Once I offed Bento, I figured it was about time I went to go see Voss. Wait, no. No, that's not right. Wait. Once I offed Bento, I figured it was about time I went to go see, Mr. My Left or Your Left.
Your choice. Very simple. Your right hand or your left? Left! Was that my left or your left?
In my conversation with the Rice, he had an exchange with me. Since I didn't actually record the cutscene, I will do a dramatic reenactment of how I interpreted the events. Here it is. Hey, Crane, it's Rice. Yeah, sorry to bother you, but I was just wondering if you could maybe fix my cell reception for me. That would be great. You know, if you do, I'll make sure to give you some antizin, for your people back at the tower. Yeah, just get back to me on that, please. And yep, just let me know. I really need the.
In other words, Rice wanted me to. So, as per Rice's request, I went over to his house, I turned off the router, and I turned it back on again. Wi-Fi was working just fine. However, unsurprisingly, it turns out Rice was lying the whole time. Wow, I'm so However, Rice's fixed Wi-Fi connection allowed me to talk with other survivors in the quarantine about pop culture these days.
Oh my god, these nuts?
But to actually get the antizin I needed from Rice, I had to undertake another task, which was basically head to point A, press F on somebody, head to point B, press F on somebody, and head to point C and press F on somebody. That's this quest. However, it does lead to one of the stupidest story moments in this entire game.
Yeah? So are we. Rice said he'd protect us if we paid him, but so far all he's done is take our money. There's no protection, just threats. You any different?
Look, all I want to do is get this over with. What's it gonna take, huh? Don't need to point out how easy it would be to set this entire place on fire.
Jesus Christ. You people are fucking monsters. All my money's in that satchel. Take it and get the fuck out.
For what it's worth, this isn't something I want to do. I'd rather be helping you guys.
Take it and get the fuck out.
Howdy folks, it's me, Crane the Clown, and today I'm gonna try to elicit empathy from the victims of my extortion. After I finished effing everybody, I started to head back. However, as the set of quests never seems to end, Crane called me when I was about halfway back and told me to go to this gas station and hurl myself at this guy. However, I think you may have noticed a problem here. This fella has a gun. And so I died to this guy time and time again. It was quite a painful process because I had nothing that I could do besides bum rush him and hope for the best while I'm bobbing and weaving between his shots. I didn't have any weapons of my own, I didn't have any grenades, and I definitely didn't have any shooting devices. But this fight with this guy at the gas station, it did allow me to do one thing. In all this time I spent hurling myself at him and hoping for the best, I was able to just think about the wonders of how many more guys with guns there were going to be down the road in this playthrough, and how many of them there were going to be at the same time. After a good 5 to 10 minutes of consecutive tries trying to kill this guy, or at least just knock him over so I could stand a fighting chance, I slid in there and I kicked him into this corner and he died almost instantly. It was surprising to me. I didn't expect him to go down like that, so I continued. But then I grabbed those vital blueprints and I skedaddled right on back to Rice's place for that reward that, remember, he promised me so long ago that he still hasn't delivered on. If you do, I'll make sure to give you some antizin, for your people back at the tower. Of course, when I got back to Rice's hideout, he had prepared a monologue for me about 1, I am a faithful dog to the tower.
Like a good little...
2, I'm not a man because I don't live by my own rules.
A man who follows someone else's rules is no man at all.
And 3, he doesn't respect me because I don't live by my own rules. All of this ends with Rice just giving me 5 vials of antizin, which is very, very short of 2 entire crates, which he promised me earlier. But hey, it's the second time he tricked me, and the second time he just lied to me, so I'm starting to think that he's a bad guy or something. That brings us to the school. Now, the school is one of those missions where the first time you play through the game,
it's really not that bad. You know, you just get it over with and you forget about it. But then the second time you play through the game, that's when you realize how shitty it is. My first problem with this level is that there's just so many cabinets, chests, and lockers to open that if you're anything like me when you play a level like this, you will spend minutes watching these animations because you just need to get all of the loot that you can. Even in a playthrough like this, where I'm not crafting or using money in any way, so I can't even sell the materials I'm getting, I was still doing this shit, even though I can't use anything that I find besides gauze and alcohol. I'm sorry, my friends, but that is a weapon. And we already know the rule about weapons. Don't tell anyone, guys. But my second problem is the amount of bad guys. Look, I know that sounds very, wimpy, but all you need to do is add a little bit of music and edit it around a little bit, and you've just got, like, a boss fight from a game. It's hard to tell that it's just a regular enemy that you're fighting. You know what? Here, I'll just show you. And when these fights didn't feel like boss fights, they made me genuinely contemplate what I was doing here for this playthrough. And this isn't edited, this is my genuine reaction right here. But to be fair, this fight was, well, it was like punching a slab of meat for about 5 minutes straight. So it was a little bit more traumatizing than the other ones, as I had to sit there and remember how I just caved a man's skull in with my bare hands. But this is still like uncut, unfiltered emotion right here. Okay, now it's time for a pop quiz. What is the #1 driving force for the story up until this point that we're at right now? Here, I'll give you some time to think about it. Okay, you might have figured it out already, but it's that is the one thing that has been driving every single mission. I kid you not. The first thing you do after you leave the tower is you go get a shot of Antizin, and then you go start setting up traps for Brecken's night run so that he can get Antizin, and then you go out searching for crates so that you can find Antizin, but then you burn the Antizin, so then you have to go see Rice so that you can get Antizin from him, and it just goes on and on and on. And do you know what you don't do at the school, which is hours into the game? You don't find Antizin. No, of course you don't find any Antizin, because it's the only thing that's driving the plot forward at this point. It's the only motivation you have for going out and doing these missions. It's just the Antizin. So instead of finding Antizin, you find some explosives. The point of the explosives is that you can help Raheem fulfill this dumbass plan he tells you earlier about destroying a volatile nest.
See that skyscraper? The scouts found a volatile nest in there. We take that out, and then running missions at night, we could totally do that.
Now, the only reason Raheem tells you his plan is just so that the story can, build a little bit of character for him, which he has been kind of lacking. But then they immediately cash in on this character by killing him in like 2 missions. So, you don't care about him still. He's still just an annoying dumbass. There is one redeeming quality about these explosives, though, I'll have to admit, okay? It's that we're done with the school. We're done. Okay? This has gotten way too sidetracked. This is like complete tangent right now about the school, but you gotta understand this is coming from like 5 playthroughs of pure resent to the school, so it's done. My tangent is over. We can come back to the challenge and continue on with the story. And continuing on with the story means what else but going back to the tower. I had to go back to the tower so that I could drop off those explosives that we just found at the... And also so that I could confront Raheem about his plan, because he, of course, being the naive dumbass that he is, he wanted to be involved in it. He wanted to be the one planting the explosives. But we can't do that because he sucks, so, I told him that I would do it, and at least for the time being, he agrees with me.
There's no use arguing with you, is there?
Hey, Doc, you got a minute?
Oh, it's, Kane. Yes.
I also had to go see the boy, Dr. Zera, so that I could talk to him about these weird green, like, shroomy-looking fungus boys that I've been seeing running around in the slums. And Dr. Zera actually tells me to go out and kill one of them.
Yes.
Now, this was actually a mission that I forgot about. I kind of did, like, some conceptualizing of how hard this challenge would be, and this one completely slipped my mind. And it shouldn't have, because you kind of need a ranged weapon to do it. However, being the gamer that I am, I was actually able to kill not 1, but 2 bolters. 2 fungus boys. As you can see in these 2 clips of pure gamer prowess. And I hand-delivered that shit right back to Zera.
Oh, it's, Kane. Yes.
But then, right after, and I mean right after, I left Dr. Zera's trailer, right after I gave him the samples, I get a call from Raheem saying that he left to go blow up the volatile nest.
Hey, great. You're there. Omar and I went to blow up that nest.
Wait, you what?
God damn it. I mean, yeah, I already mentioned it in this playthrough. I said Raheem was gonna die. I gave out some spoilers. But then they immediately cash in on this character by killing him in like 2 missions. But it's still just such an annoying plot point that he just goes out and does it anyway, even though like he's clearly under-equipped physically and mentally as well. He's not all there. So then naturally I'm the one that has to go save Raheem's dumbass. So I start meandering over there. I kill a couple zombies along the way. I know I'm not on any time crunch here because I know he's gonna die anyway, so hey, don't look at me like that. Come on, I can't save him, okay? No matter how much I hustle here, he's gonna die. He's gonna bleed out in the train car, just like it's happened a million times in all my other playthroughs, okay? I'm not a bad person. Okay, fine. I'll go find Raheem right now, I promise. Just after... give me a sec, okay? Okay, I'm going. Right now. Okay, so I find Raheem. He's clearly injured in this train car here. Clearly, bitten, I would venture to say. But the problem here is that he already armed the bombs, and he says this is because he thought he wasn't going to make it, but that... Why would you do that, Like, even if Crane comes and finds his dead body, Crane could still carry out the mission, arm the bomb, and blow up the nest. Like, you don't have to just kill, like, 5 zombies with you. Woohoo, Raheem! Go, Raheem! Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. We're actually gonna give him 2 medals! So I grab the bomb, I swim through some nasty-ass water, I plant the bomb, all in a couple minutes, and I blow up the building. I successfully carry out Raheem's plan. Then when I go back...
Raheem! It's me, kid. I did it! Raheem! You should have seen it. The whole damn building came down. Oh, shit!
Guess what? Dude's dead as heck. He was lying about how hurt he was, and I am hurt because he was lying about it. We all knew Raheem's death was coming, and if you didn't, well, you know because I told you earlier, but even still, it was a predictable death. And, you know, it's still sad to see him go, it's sad to see the emotion that Crane had for him, but he was dumb, you know? He was dumb, and he was a bad character, so let's end it on that note, you know? Not entirely a loss, I would say. So anyway, like all good missions start and end, I start heading back to the tower. Except the thing is, as soon as I go back to the tower, a lot of shit is gonna go down. I know exactly what's gonna happen, and it's not pretty. It's gonna be like the biggest challenge to this playthrough that there ever was so far. Hey, quick question. Do you remember when I used this clip right here? Yep, that's right. That is exactly what I'm about to face. Luckily, knowing the story of this game kind of prepared me for that, because otherwise I would be walking right into a terrible mess that is that level. You know, everybody's got guns, everyone's trying to kill me, and, you know, I need to be prepared for that. And there's one skill that I have longed for this entire playthrough so far. Every time I've had an enemy on the ground, I've just thought, God damn, I wish I could press E right now and just end it. And so, I get suited, I get booted, and I mean I get booted because I get my fucking stomping boots on. So now that I have Stomp, I feel amazing. Okay, I feel so ready to take on this mission. So I start sprinting back to the tower. And of course, when I get back there, I see Jade, and that's kind of awkward because, like, her brother's dead, and it's, like, partially my fault. So I'm like, hey, sorry your brother's dead, but also he sucked. But at that point, the situation was beyond repair, so I just left. Actually, no, correction. I went and I jumped out the goddamn window, okay? There's a difference there. However, the actual reason that I went and I jumped out the window, that was because of this. It wasn't because of this, no. I wish it was, but no, this is kind of more important over here. And you might be asking yourself, well, what is this happening, over here? What are all these explosions? Well, long story short, the bad guys are trying to get one of the good guys, okay? And that good guy is Dr. Zera.
Hey Doc, you got a minute?
Oh, it's, Kane.
So, like always, I go and I clear out all the bad guys, no problem. Except one of these guys had a gun. But he wasn't a problem either this time. Do you know why? Because I have Stomp. But it turns out I was a little too late. They already took Dr. Zera, as told to me by this goofy-looking fellow crumpled in front of the door here.
There's no one inside. They took Zera and drove away.
Shit.
And so Brecken gets really mad with me because he's got some sort of crazy notion that this is like my fault or something. Yeah, so he gets really mad at me and he tells me that I need to go get Dr. Zera.
Oh, it's,
So I'm locked into the mission. I need to go to Rice's garrison immediately, or else Brecken will punch me or something. This is what I was talking about. This is what I had to prepare for, because now, my mission has shifted from going and finding Dr. Zera
Zara.
to basically going and dismantling Rice's entire operation from the inside. So, fearing Brecken's punishment or whatever he's gonna do to me, I book it over to Rice's building, and this is where things get tricky because I want to try to do this stealthily because I think it will make my life easier, but it's really hard to be sneaky when shit like this just happens. What the fuck? But anyway, I end up sneaking into the building. It's not a stealth game, so it doesn't matter, doesn't carry over at all. And I killed everybody, and I only managed to die 2 times. So, you know, applause, thank you. One time, completely legitimate, I was killed by Rice's guys, I got detected. And this is the second time I died. All I have to say is, what did you think was going to happen?
Hi, you're being sent this video because someone wants to know what the fuck you were thinking. What the fuck was going through your head? What did you think was gonna happen? Are you just a fucking idiot? Do you just not think?
So once I get into the building, I have a phone call with a guy from something called the Ministry of Defense. I know that's really fucking vague, but that's about as much information as the game gives me.
This is the Ministry of Defense.
But anyway, the guy basically tells me that he is going to personally oversee that Haran gets the shit bombed out of it in 48 hours. Now, I just feel that this is important to bring up because this introduces a 48-hour ticking clock element into a game where the player is the only thing that dictates how much time passes. Like right after this, when I'm free and back into the open world, I could just go to a safe house and sleep for 2 days and nothing would change. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to how much time passes, you know, like how many times you see a day and night cycle happening. And just remember in the back of your head that the rest of the story of this entire game is supposed to take place in the game over the course of 48 hours. But anyway, moving on from that. I am now in Rice's building, obviously, so, you know, I do some sneaking around, I kill a couple guys here and there, and, well, it wouldn't be a Dying Light level if I didn't loot a whole bunch of shit that I never need and never will use in this playthrough. Out of stupid fucking habit. I don't know how I haven't figured out yet that I'm not going to use any of this shit, but I haven't, so expect a lot more of that. Just going forward. The rest of the inside of this building is pretty boring, so let's just say I descend. And man, what a descent it is, because that brings us directly to the basement level. Which, you might recognize the basement, because it's this area. Which I've already used in this video twice to show kind of like what my nightmare was in this playthrough up until this point. Hey, we're there. I'm living through a nightmare. Now, getting through the basement took me almost exactly 15 minutes, which might not sound that bad, sure, but that's 15 minutes to cover, like, we're talking feet of ground. We're talking feet. I am going from the entrance of a parking garage to the end, and that took me 15 minutes. But the problem about those 15 minutes is there's really just not anything to say. It took me 15 minutes. I died a lot of times, and that is it. There wasn't any grand strategy going on here. Basically, all of my strategies were derivative of the fact that enemies just don't respawn. You know, if I could take out one guy with an entire life, that was fine. That was kind of what I was hoping for. But even that wasn't accomplished. More often than not, I just died with nothing to show for it. Hopefully whatever I end up editing behind this voiceover gives you a good idea of what I had to go through to get from, let me reiterate this, from the entrance of a parking garage to the end. The width of like a building. It took me 15 minutes to walk that. By the way, this is how I concluded this entire level here. I'm just gonna let this play out, but like this is actually kind of concerning to watch back while I'm editing this. Yeah, that's, it's a little alarming, right? Please keep in mind that not only did he die about halfway through that, but I also had curb stomp the entire time. I could have used it at any point to end his life, but I didn't. I wanted to see him suffer, which is a little bit concerning for my own mental well-being, but that's not gonna stop me. I'm not gonna stop doing this challenge just because of a little psychological damage. That's not what this is about. But anyway, at the end of this, I actually kind of like how this level concludes, because normally in the game you're having like this really intense shootout with a lot of dudes, and you know, it's pretty high octane, pretty high adrenaline. And then you just get to this locked door at the end that Zera's behind, and Crane doesn't waste any fucking time. He tries the doorknob once, and then he just kicks the door down. Oh hey, would you look at that? It was a trap the whole time. That's awesome. And apparently all of Rice's guys are just ninjas too, because they appear out of literally nowhere. So of course, they hit me with the ye old, you know, oldest trick in the book, gun butt to the face, that is just sure to knock out anybody for a perfect amount of time. And they do that so that they can take me to the pit. Now I know I just said a whole bunch of shit about the garage, or the parking garage, basement level, whatever you want to call it, but this was the point for like this entire fucking gameplay that I was most afraid of. And if you don't remember why, or if you've never played Dying Light before, it's because I have to fight this guy with my fucking bare hands. And on Nightmare, this guy is practically an insta-kill. If he hits you once, then it's pretty much impossible to recover, because he hits you for like all of your health, puts you in a stun, and if there's any other enemies around, they will just kill you. So that's a lot of fun. So starting this playthrough up until now, I have feared that this point would just be the definitive end of this, because it would either be possible and very difficult, or it would just straight up be impossible. I wouldn't know, because I've never tried to take on a Demolisher with just my bare hands before. So, if I did beat him, then that would probably signify that every other story mission, at least down the road, would be possible if I put in the time and energy. So that's not really a good thing either. Like, it's a lose-lose. Either the playthrough ends, or I embark on a journey that will cause a lot of pain and suffering, but I know it will be possible in the end. But as I said earlier, psychological damage it's not a concern here. If I was concerned about that, I would have stopped a long time ago. I mean, did you see what I just did to that guy in the garage? That was fucking awful. But either way, I knew exactly what I was getting into going into this, okay? I knew exactly which missions were going to be the fuck ones. And guess what? This is one of the fuck ones. And because of this guy alone, this is one of the fuck missions. And I'm serious, like, the rest of this is just so boring almost, because it's just regular zombies and some virals, and you just curb stomp them, you throw them into spikes. It doesn't matter. This guy single-handedly turns this into a nightmare of a mission, though. So, you know, props to him, I guess. And by the way, this guy regenerates most of his health when I die. So once I realized that, that kind of just added to the overwhelming sense of helplessness against this dude, because I would have to kill him pretty much all in one life. And with the amount of damage I was doing each life, that was just not a very promising thing to try to do. But let's actually get into the fight, right? I just realized I haven't really discussed that much of it. And before I start doing that though, I'm just gonna say this fight took me about a little less than 25 minutes. I think it's like 23 or so, which was way less than I was expecting. I was hoping that this would take like an hour. That was my hope. That's like kind of what I was shooting for, but it ended up taking like less than half of that, so that's great. And I was able to do it so quickly because I figured out a strategy, like a really good strategy for taking this guy on, way sooner than I was expecting. So basically I'm like a gamer god, but besides that. But anyway, now we can actually get on to the fight, which is the fun part, right? After killing a whole bunch of fodder zombies, basically, Rice drops down this machete, and I go over and pick it up. Look, I don't have a choice here. I need to pick this up in order to trigger the cutscene, in order to get the Demolisher in the fucking game. I swear to God, guys, I don't use the machete once. I don't, I swear. So the Demolisher is dropped down in a shipping container that is marked with a, like a little ribbon, which is kind of cute, kind of like a present. And it's also dropped by a crane. I don't know if that's supposed to be like ironic or symbolic of something. Maybe that's overanalyzing it. I don't know. It's worth pointing out though. But at first, I really had no idea what to do against this guy. Because obviously I couldn't punch him, right? Like, just look at the guy. And I noticed that my drop kicks, they did pretty good damage, and they also stunned him sometimes. But I couldn't back-to-back drop kick him, because it would only stun him the first time, but I guess as a way to avoid stun locking him, he would just charge me the second time and kill me. Drop kicking him allowed me to whittle away his health a little bit, but since I was dying, his health would just come back, so that wasn't an effective strategy either. And I don't know, I went through some other strategies and stuff, like at some point I was hoping that this puddle right here was oil. It was water, so that didn't work. And also at first I was hoping that I could like lure him by making him charge into these spike walls, but that just didn't do anything. After a little bit more fruitless trial and error against this guy, I was starting to get pretty frustrated because I had like a 5+ minute life where I was able to successfully whittle away like a third of his health, all in one life. But then I went on to die like 4 times, and his health was just back to full, because every time I died he regenerated a fixed amount of health. So after just a couple unsuccessful lives, I was back to square one. But in my desperation, when I was at rock bottom and there was truly nowhere to go but up, I tried something that was so crazy that it just might work. No, really, this is the kind of plan that was just so safe that it works, and it's effective, and it's efficient, but it is so boring to execute, and also to watch, I imagine. But this is pretty much it right here. Does that strategy need any explanation? I don't think so. It's pretty straightforward. You just climb up here, drop kick him, and then you do it all over again. It's like a 2-step process. Do I wish that I had a cooler strategy? Or maybe like an epic tale to tell? Yes, I do. But this strategy was effective. It was simple, and it was incredibly efficient. Like, I was just doing pure damage to him without really receiving any in return. I didn't have to dodge anything. I didn't have to think about it. It's good enough for me. Wow, am I already done talking about the bane of my existence? I mean, pretty much. The Demolisher was like the climax, and everything from now on is like the falling action, let's say. There are still a couple things I want to cover, but I've done it. Like, I surmounted the insurmountable, at least as I had previously thought insurmountable. But I did it. I did it. Can we get confetti? Applause, maybe? Like, I'm actually kind of having a moment right here. I am nearing the end of the journey for the slums. Like, the slums storyline has almost come to an end. We're pretty much there. And that's really something, I must say. But the game doesn't really give me much time to dwell on that, because immediately we move on to some more bullshit. And what is that bullshit? Well, first of all, this.
Assam, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Publish the file.
Right away, sir. And there, it is sent.
This.
All right. Kill him.
And this. And okay, that brings us up to speed. So, in that case, see you in Old Town.